The sun had long since bled its last light over the Arizona desert, leaving the sky bruised purple and gold. The wind blew dry dust over the empty ranchlands, whistling through broken fence posts and the lonely calls of night hawks. Inside a small wooden cabin that creaked with the weight of years sat Caleb Walker, a man who had forgotten the sound of laughter. He'd lost his wife 3 winters ago to fever, and his only son had ridden off to war, never to return. The ranch, once full of cattle and noise, was now a hollow echo. Every day Caleb rose with the sun and worked till dusk, not because he hoped, but because it was all he knew. That night as he rode back from the far field, his horse, Dusty, stopped suddenly, ears pricked, muscles tense. Caleb frowned and listened. There, carried faintly by the wind, came a sound, not an animal's cry, not a coyote's call. It was a human voice, a faint whimper. He spurred Dusty forward toward the old willow by the dry creek. When he reached it, he froze. Lying beneath the tree was a young Apache girl, no older than 16. Her dress was torn, her face streaked with blood and dirt. One of her legs was bound tightly with a strip of cloth soaked in red. Her breathing was shallow. Caleb jumped off his horse and knelt beside her. "Hey, hey now," he whispered, pulling off his hat. "You're all right, miss, you're all right." Her eyes fluttered open, dark, frightened, and defiant. She flinched from his touch, murmuring something in Apache. Caleb didn't understand the words, but the fear in her eyes spoke volumes. He raised his hand slowly. "I ain't gonna hurt you," he said softly. "You're safe now." For a moment she just stared, then fainted. Caleb didn't think twice. He lifted her gently, placed her on his horse, and rode home through the night. When she awoke the next morning, the girl found herself lying on a bed covered in wool blankets. The room smelled of wood smoke and coffee. Her leg had been cleaned and bandaged. Across from her sat Caleb, carving wood near the fireplace. "You're awake," he said quietly without turning. The girl tried to sit up, wincing. Her voice trembled. "Why you help me?" Caleb looked up at her for the first time, his blue eyes tired but kind. "'Cause you're a human being," he said simply, "and looks like you needed help." She stared at him, as if he'd spoken a language she'd never heard before. "My people, your people, enemies." Caleb gave a dry chuckle. "Ain't got no people left," he said, "just me and Dusty out here." Her name, he soon learned, was Naya. She was the daughter of an Apache healer. A raid on her village had left her injured and alone, and she'd been wandering for 2 days without food or water when Caleb found her. Days turned to weeks. Caleb tended her wounds, fed her broth, and fixed the broken fences outside while she watched silently from the porch. Slowly, she began to trust him. She spoke of her tribe, the songs her mother sang, the old stories about the desert spirits. Caleb listened, fascinated. For the first time in years, his cabin filled with the sound of another voice. One evening, as the fire crackled, Naya asked softly, "Why you live alone?" Caleb stared into the flames. "'Cause everyone I ever loved is gone, and maybe the land's all I got left." She looked at him, eyes softening. "Land can't hold your heart," she whispered. "Only people can." Those words hit him deeper than he expected. One morning, riders appeared, 3 men from the nearby town. Caleb knew them, Hank Miller, Clyde, and Ross. They were rough types who didn't like strangers, especially not native ones. When they saw Naya standing on Caleb's porch, they sneered. "Walker," Hank said, spitting tobacco, "you know you're harboring one of them savages." Caleb's jaw tightened. "She's hurt, I helped her, that's all." Clyde laughed coldly. "That's all, huh? Folks won't see it that way. You best hand her over." Caleb stepped between them and Naya. "Ain't nobody talking her anywhere." Hank's eyes darkened. "You lost your mind, Walker." "Maybe," Caleb said, gripping the rifle, leaning by the door, "but I ain't lost my soul." After a long, tense silence, the men turned their horses and rode off, shouting curses into the wind. When Caleb turned around, Naya was trembling. "They come back," she whispered. "Then I'll be here," he said firmly. "Ain't no one gonna hurt you again." That night, Naya cried quietly by the fire. Caleb sat beside her. "Hey," he said gently, "don't cry." Through tears, she looked up at him. "Why you risk your life for me?" He hesitated, then smiled faintly. "'Cause once someone risked theirs for me. My wife, she pulled me out of a fire when our house burned. I never forgot that. Guess I'm just paying it forward." She reached out and touched his hand, small, warm, trembling. "Then I will pay it forward too, someday." Weeks passed and spring came to the desert. Naya's strength returned and so did her laughter. Caleb built her a small shelter near the creek, where she grew herbs and flowers from her tribe's seeds. The two of them shared long evenings watching sunsets, talking about things neither had dared hope for again: peace, forgiveness, home. One day, as they watched Dusty grazing, Naya said quietly, "My people taught, forgiveness is stronger than hate." Caleb nodded. Maybe that's what the world's been forgetting. When summer came, she told him she had to go to find what remained of her tribe. Caleb felt a hollowness return to his chest. "You'll be safe out there." She smiled softly. "Yes, because someone showed me that not all hearts are cruel." He swallowed hard. "You take care of yourself, Naya." She took his hand. "And you, Caleb Walker, remember, land can't hold your heart." Years later, Caleb sat on that same porch, hair white, hands trembling. One day, he saw riders approaching from the horizon. At their head rode a woman draped in Apache beads, strong and graceful, her hair braided in silver and black. It was Naya. Behind her rode a small group of Apache and settlers, together. She dismounted, smiling through tears. "I found peace," she said softly. "Now I came to bring some to you." Caleb stood slowly, eyes glistening. The wind carried the scent of sage and rain as the two embraced beneath the wide desert sky. And for the first time in a lifetime, Caleb Walker felt the land and his heart come alive again.